Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IAS. Today we'll be looking into modern history from mains perspective. I've taken previous year UPSC question papers from 2017 onwards just to get an idea as to what UPSC is asking and expecting and how our preparation has to be. When we're looking through the questions, we'll underline some keywords just to identify what are the topics that they are frequently going under. Okay? Clarify how mid-18th century was beset with the spectra of a fragmented polity. This is your first question. This question is taken from 2017. It's for 10 marks. You have to write it in 150 words. Okay. Now here the keyword is fragmented polity. Okay. Next question. Why did the moderates fail to carry conviction with the nation about their proclaimed ideology and political goals by the end of 19th century? And then here, ideology, moderates. Okay. Next question. Examine how the decline of traditional artisanal industry in colonial India crippled the rural economy. Here the keywords being artisanal industry, rural economy. Okay, next question. The women's question arose in modern India as a part of the 19th century social reform movement. What were the issues and debates concerning women in that period? Now, two important keywords. Okay, women and social reform movement. Next question. Throw light on the significance of the thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi in the present times. This is your hotspot question. You can consider anything with respect to Gandhian principles or Gandhian thoughts or the ways and methods that he used to attain freedom in the Indian independence is always a choice of questioning. Next one. The 1857 Uprising was the culmination of the recurrent big and small local rebellions that had occurred in the preceding 100 years of the British rule. Elucidate. Okay, rebellions preceding 100 years, that is from 1757 to 1857, the revolts and rebellions that took place and what led to the 1857 revolt. Okay, all of those culminated. Many voices had strengthened and enriched the nationalist movement during the Gandhian phase. Again, your hotspot question. Okay, next one. Assess the role of a British imperial power in complicating the process of transfer of power during the 1940s. Okay. Transfer of power. Okay, next one. Evaluate the policies of Lord Curzon and their long-term implication on the national movement. It is known that Lord Curzon is known for his reactionary policies. Since the decade of 1920s, the national movement has acquired various ideological strands and thereby expanded its social base. Here, keyword being. Next one. Trace the rise and growth of socio-religious reform movements with special reference to Young Bengal and Brahmo Samaj. This is a direct, pretty self-explanatory. To what extent did the role of moderates prepare a base for the wider freedom movement? Okay. Next one. Bring out the constructive programs of Mahatma Gandhi during non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement. Again, your hotspot question. Okay. Now we are done with the questions. Let's see how and what topics we have underlined. How are we supposed to go about and prepare for it? See, now when I say definite topics, now these are the topics that are bound to occur, if not this year, but then next year. Your preparation for entire history, yes, it's going to be a way, but this has to have a special way. Now what is that? See, the topics that we underline can be clubbed under these subheadings. Your colonization, policies and acts, ideologies, socio-religious reform movements, 1857 uprising, Gandhian thought. The first one, colonization. Now, with the advent of Europeans in 1498, the initial reason being trade. Now, did it stay the same or did it change? Did it change into territorial acquisition, territorial possession, monopoly? What was the reason that they came in? What was the reason that they stayed? And what was the impact it had on the Indian subcontinent? Okay. Next, when it comes to policies and acts, we have divided it into three categories. One, year 1773 to 1857. This phase, the acts that is issued, okay, all those will be for consolidation of their possessions in the Indian colony. Okay. Next, your 1857 to the acts up until 1930. Those are about colonization. This is the extreme peak of colonization where each country in the world is fighting for their position, their influence over the colonies. Okay. Now we are 1930 to your 1947. Okay, that is where the period of competition or your world war comes in, and also the wariness comes in. Now the world is tired of having two wars in one century. That can be reflected in the policies from 1930 to 1947. Okay, these are the nuances I want you to observe when you're reading through the acts and policies. Okay. Next, ideologies. This is again one of the hotspot questions for UPSC. Now, ideologies are what that drives the world in a particular direction. Now, for example, let's say pre-Gandhian. Pre-Gandhian, we have moderates, extremists, revolutionaries, etc. Now, these are the people who had a particular ideology of what freedom meant and how to attain it. Understanding? Now, in the same aspect, you will also have to look into what is the means that they used to attain the freedom and what did freedom mean to them. Okay, this was pre-Gandhian approach. Now under Gandhian approach you have your Satyagraha, Sarvodaya, Ahimsa, truth, non-violence, etc. Now you have to see how Gandhi used his tactics, okay, or used his philosophies in the Indian subcontinent and what freedom meant to him and how did he go on about to achieve that. Okay. Next is a post-Gandhian. This is where I want you to lay additional importance on. See now when we say post-Gandhian, it doesn't mean Gandhian ended and something else came in. No. During the phase of Gandhian, there were also other phases, other ideologies that started playing head. That is, for example, socialism. Okay, it is a period where new ideologies were coming. They were having a different perception of what freedom meant and how to go on to attain it. Your socio-religious reform movements. Under this, we have reform and revive. Now your reform movements in the form of Brahma Samaj, a legal movement, etc. Under your revival, we have Adi Samaj, Theobald movement, etc. These are mostly concerned with religious perspective. Then there are your other movements such as your Incal movement, Theosophical Society, etc. Now those are concerned with the society as in general. Okay. Now, the most sections that are targeted in this reform movements is about women and depressed classes. Okay. One of the things that aided in this is your Western education. When it comes to education, I want you to see it in the form of both pros and cons. Now, how Western education was a pro to the Indian subcontinent and how it was a con. Education itself is not a con. How Western education was a con to the Indian society. That is also a thing you need to consider. Next is your revolts. Your revolts again, you have to see what are the revolts that led to the 1857 revolts, as your one of the UPSC questions stated. 1757 to 1857, the revolts that culminated into the 1857 revolt and the impact it had on both India as well as Britain. And after post 1857, the relationship between India and Britain. All these subtopics and nuances are what you have to very keenly observe for your preparation. Next is your Gandhian thoughts. Now, when it comes to Gandhian thoughts, there are three stages that I've divided it into. Gandhian phase from 1915 to 1919. That is the ways that he used to attain freedom or to lead the mass struggle. When we say Gandhian, it's nothing but more of mass mobilization. How the mass mobilization matured through the process, how our Indian national movement matured through the phases and ages. Okay, that can be seen in these phases. That is your second Gandhian phase from 1920 to 27 and third Gandhian phase from 34 to 1942. Okay, when you look keenly, all of this have a structural changes in the way the mass mobilization or the Gandhian thought proceeds onwards. Okay. Now, these are the very small things that you have to keep in mind for preparation of modern history. I hope it helps you in your endeavors. Thank you.